Some of you guys might have noticed in my recent content, I've been sort of building up all these comparisons to the Steam Deck, Legion Go and stuff, and really comparing and really sort of going into the nitty-gritty and debating which one of those devices in each of those videos should you get. And this is sort of like, I wouldn't say like the final one, but it's to sort of bookend all those comparisons with the final comparison that I haven't done yet. Should you buy the Lenovo Legion Go or the ROG Ally? Two very similar devices, even down to the detail of them sharing the same APU, both using the AMD Z1 Extreme, though the Ally has a cheaper version with the Z1 Non-Extreme, but broadly speaking, I don't recommend that one unless you can find it like a really good deal, like open box. Other than that, I generally would just recommend spending the little bit extra for the full Z1 Extreme equipped version, just because the performance increase is worth it at that point, because comparing the Z1 Non-Extreme to the Steam Deck, it's like the same at best or worse than the Steam Deck. So broadly speaking, you should just buy a Steam Deck at that point, unless there's specifically a lot more Windows-based games that you want to play that aren't available on the Steam Deck. But we're getting distracted at this point. The ROG Ally is fantastic. We've established many of its best features. The fact that it has a 120Hz display, being available in stores. So many features of the ROG Ally are just conveniences. The ROG Ally has a 1080p screen, which is a little bit of a higher resolution than the Steam Decks, but it's lower than the Lenovo Legion Go. Lenovo Legion Go having a 2560 by 1600 display. It's a slightly taller aspect ratio. The ROG Ally has a 16 by 9 display, while the Legion Go has a 16 by 10 display. It doesn't really matter, but some people might like that aspect ratio more, but the ROG Ally is uniquely positioned because it was the first one to come out between the two. It has seen the most promos. It is currently the cheaper of the two options. For $599 or $500 open box from Best Buy, it is an amazing deal. It used to be the biggest problem with this device was that it was more expensive by a significant margin in comparison to the Steam Deck. Now, this device is cheaper than some Steam Deck models. It makes a very compelling value, especially considering how well this device has aged over the months. Sure, that has had its fair share of controversy, potential of burning up your micro SD cards, it generally being unavailable in certain stores. It's had its problems, but I feel like over the months, it has overcome them, broadly speaking. They have released firmware updates to fix the SD card killing issues, though I haven't heard anybody, any news about any more incidences. But leave a comment down below if you've seen or heard more of these problems still existing even after they've claimed to have fixed it. It's now more broadly available, and it's usually pretty plentiful in stock. I've gone to my Best Buy a few times and seen them. They have a full shelf of them now, compared to when at launch they only had like 2. They probably seen how popular this device was and then appropriately stocked it. Armory Crate 2 has gotten so much better with time. It used to be so buggy and honestly was terrible to use, but now has become one of the better, sort of launchers that I've seen on these PC gaming handhelds. I always advocate I wouldn't say preach, but always give my opinion that you shouldn't buy a device based on promises of what it will become, or shouldn't buy a game for hopes of what the DLCs could be. So you just basically sit and wait until you can see whether or not any of those promises materialize, and if at some point they do and it's something you still want to buy, then you should buy it. And I feel like the ROG Ally has, generally speaking, lived up to any of the promises and expectations that people really had for it. It's a phenomenal handheld, and if my only problem and gripes with it is that it has a kind of a bad battery life, that's okay to me. Honestly, if I had to choose between having the most performance and a better battery life, I would choose to have better performance and a better battery life, because I always have a battery bank or a charger or near a charger at any point in time. So it's frankly, to me at least, more important to have more performance than it is to have better battery life. The Lenovo Legion Go has also been a very popular device, and it has so many amazing features that we've talked about so much in the past couple weeks. But what feature in particular have I sort of neglected to talk about in this, many weeks of making these kinds of videos? I kind of forgot to talk about the touchpad. I tend to forget about touchpads on these things, because I remember in my first Steam Deck video, I talked about how much I didn't like or didn't really use the touchpads on the Steam Deck. And then the comments jumped down my throat that I somehow fucked with the settings and treated it more like a D-pad than an actual touchpad. And after fixing my mistake, I learned and eventually have come to the realization that the Steam Deck's touchpads are probably one of its best features and one of the best quality of life features that the Steam Deck has. And the same thing applies to the Lenovo Legion Go. The touchpad on the Legion Go has drastically improved life and just overall livability with using this device, considering that these both run Windows, but only the Legion Go has a touchpad. And that touchpad is pretty sizable, about a little, I would say either the same or a little bit smaller than the one on the Steam Decks. I don't have any calipers to measure that, but it's a decent size. And it just overall feels quite nice. I wouldn't say that it feels quite as nice as the one on the Steam Deck because Valve just has those amazing haptics as you're scrolling around on the touchpad. It just gently vibrates as you're touching it. It's great. But overall, it's a good touchpad and drastically improves my ability to navigate Windows over something like the ROG Ally. Some of the largest differentiating factors that the Legion Go has over the Ally is that it's basically like the most roided out version of the Nintendo Switch. Being able to separate the controllers like a Nintendo Switch, being able to have a kickstand, almost exactly what the Nintendo Switch does, and almost what we all dream a Switch Pro would be like. It sort of realizes that dream that we've been hoping for the last few years of what the Switch could become has been sort of realized by the Legion Go. And it's gotten to the point where the Legion Go can do so many things independently. People are making a lot of their own sort of fight pad carriers, their own sort of laptop shells for this thing, that it can be really used in any way you possibly want it. It's a very flexible device, down to the point where they have a mouse sensor in the right controller. In the past, some of you might have noticed I called it gun mode. That's not apparently true. I've been quoting a Dave2D video this whole time, or Wolfden video, I think. I'm not quite sure. I remember hearing it in a video, I just assumed that's what it's been called this whole time, but it turns out it's actually called FPS mode. So I guess screw me for assuming FPS mode meant gun mode, because that's functionally what FPS mode means. Granted though, FPS means first person shooter mode, but that's neither here nor there. It just has so many fun and sort of creative features that ultimately I did not use. I use my Steam Deck, my Switch, and Legion Go and Ally experiences all just laying in my bed or sitting in a chair. I very rarely ever desktop moded the Legion Go. It just wasn't a particularly comfortable thing to do. Granted, the device is quite heavy. I would just rest it on the counter or on my body if I was laying in a bed. So broadly speaking, I didn't ever really take advantage of all those fun features, but I have seen people say it's one of the main reasons why they bought the device. People who use this thing as their only computer. It's really important for them to have some of these features if they want to be able to use it in that way. I would say my main complaint about this device is ergonomics. It's just simply not all that great on this device. It's very big, very heavy, very squared, and very angled on the controllers. It's not particularly comfortable for long play sessions, at least in my opinion. I prefer the ergonomics of the ROG Ally. To me, that was a little bit more comfortable, not only because it's a lot lighter and overall a much smaller device, but just the layouts of the buttons and the overall shape of the device was a lot more comfortable to hold in my hands for long sessions. Now that I've gone through my opinions and my thoughts about the two devices, which one would I recommend? Well, that's a tough question. In my opinion, I would say get the one that's most affordable at the moment. So right now, that's an ROG Ally. But if that's exclusively if all you care about is performance. All you care about is performance and spending as little money as possible, get the one that's cheapest at the moment. They should perform roughly the same. The Legion Go can perform a little bit better just by the nature of it being overall larger and being able to have better cooling. So if I'm being honest, yeah, they do kind of run basically the same, if not the Legion Go is just a tad better. But either way, they're both amazing devices. And my personal favorite out of the two is the ROG Ally. If that's what helps you decide between which one to get, I hope that helps. But if I'm being just honest, these devices are very similar in terms of what they offer in terms of gaming performance and overall value in comparison to something like the Steam Deck. But right now, you can get a ROG Ally Z1 Extreme for $599, brand new, and $500 open box. That's really hard to beat when the Legion Go right now is still $700 on Lenovo's website and a little less than that on Amazon. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially, considering that you can get the Ally for so cheap. And yes, the Lenovo Legion Go has a significantly better screen, but that is not where I would, make my deciding factor. If you intend on using this device for more than just pure gaming, that is something you might want to take in consideration. The overall content consumption of this device, the aspect ratio would be better overall if you're doing things on this device that aren't solely gaming. So if you are doing more multimedia, more other alternative things with this and using it as a proper computer, get the Legion Go. But if you're talking pure gaming and all you want to do is game, get the Ally. To me, it is the superior choice in that aspect. In terms of price, not necessarily performance, but since they functionally are exactly the same, that doesn't really matter. So what is the best value? It's the ROG Ally. What do you guys think? Do you own either of these two devices? Are you interested in getting one of these two devices? I would love to hear what you guys think down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All the other social media garbage down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.